and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren. Today I'm going to be looking at a Roman Hill video about the entire history of Formula One, I guess. This one was suggested to me in a couple of different videos, so the person who asked for it is getting rewarded, I guess, because they commented on multiple videos. And you know what? I've got a friend who's really into Formula One as well. So because I have a friend who's really interested in Formula One, and I would like to be able to talk to him about it at least a little bit at some point, and tenacity from viewers like you, that is why this video is currently happening. I don't know much about racing in general. I had a NASCAR Thunder game as a kid. Like, that was like my first ever video game was NASCAR Thunder on PS1. So there was that. That's about it. And I was terrible at Mario Kart. Shocking, I know. But yeah, I don't want to waste any more time. So let us begin. Let's learn all about the history of Formula One.
It's 1894 and the first ever motor race has just been held from the French capital of Paris to one of its neighbouring cities, Rouen. "Let's set up a championship," said absolutely no one, who raced for another 56 years before finally setting up Formula One.
Okay.
A championship like no other, with fierce competition amongst the world's elite drivers and constructors. This isn't what it looked like though, because unlike today, the sport first started with small privately owned teams who produced cars with little regard for aerodynamics or human safety.
I mean, it does give Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, like the opening scenes of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, so there is that.
Mechanical problems were common, and most accidents were fatal. In fact, at any point your car could suddenly break down, sending you to inevitable death.
Like pod racing, fun!
Surely no one's going to want to join this.
Oh, everybody. Oh my god, of course they are. Of course they are. Of course they are. Humans are wild in that kind of regard, you know? It's like, ooh, how dangerous. It's dangerous. Chance of explosion. The only reason I watch NASCAR now is to, like, if they are going to have an explosion. Like, I mean, I don't want to watch anybody die, obviously, but, like, it's pretty safe these days. But I do want to see the big, you know, the reason people watch hockey. I know, not the reason everybody watches hockey. The reason I watch hockey is the hopes of a big hockey fight. People want to see the disaster. We're terrible. Humans are bad. Humans are terrible, terrible things. We should not have this power, but we do.
Wow, it seems like people really do. And despite the prospect of imminent death, the Formula One train was full steam ahead. A governing body was set up, now called the FIA, and 81 drivers decided to race in 1950, including this man, the first ever world champion, Nino Farina, an Italian driver driving for an Italian team. But it's not Ferrari. Although it may seem crazy today, Alfa Romeo dominated the first era of Formula One alongside Ferrari. They drove pre-wall car designs with an engine in front of the driver and ran on a budget so small it would give Christian Horner an aneurysm.
I don't get that joke.
Formula One thing is getting kind of boring, said the FIA, who introduced new regulations in 1954, which hurt the leading constructors and saw the rise of a new team from way over in Germany, who wear lederhosen and eat sausage. And who are not really best friends right now. The team was called Mercedes, who would go on to dominate 2 championships with
I wasn't even paying attention to the year this was all happening.
Juan Manuel Fangio at the helm, before their run of success was put to a dramatic halt after the team's involvement in the deadliest motorsport crash in history.
Yikes.
The 1955 Le Mans disaster saw the deaths of 84 people, including Mercedes driver Pierre Levay. Although no one was to blame for the crash, Mercedes withdrew from motorsport entirely for 34 years.
Yeah, you kill 84 people, you gotta take a step back. Oh my god, that's crazy.
Moving on, are you tired of your engine being in front of your car? Do you want
Anyway, forget about them, let's move on.
New design that gains you performance and championships? Well, try the new mid-engine design coming to a paddock near you.
Mid-engine? Is it under you now?
It's the late 1950s, and after the fall of Mercedes, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, Formula One is wide open for the taking. Oi, bruv! What's that? It's the UK. We love one thing more than tea and biscuits, and that's world domination. But this time,
I was gonna say colonialism, but world domination makes sense. I was like, you know, they like to horn in on what other people have and take it for themselves. But you know, he got there in the exact same way, but cleverer than me. Granted, I didn't have time to think of anything, so he wrote a script. I didn't write a script. Also, it's like, I do appreciate the homage to the entire history of Japan, I guess. Like, I appreciate the homage that is happening here. I respect it.
Time in the motor racing world through the development of mid-engine cars, which went on to wreck the pre-war designs used by Italian teams, leading to 5 new British world champions.
Wow.
Elsewhere, F1 has begun expanding overseas, with 4 new races in Canada, the USA, Mexico, and South Africa.
Dang,
These
really?
two have just set up their own private teams called McLaren and Williams, and Formula 1 constructors
I've heard of McLaren.
need more financial support than ever.
I didn't realize
before.
how old McLaren was.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
In the 1970s, Formula 1 started getting pretty expensive through endless
I'm kind of curious, actually. One second. I'm going to chess something. He was talking about the 70s, and then the song came on. I was like, it kind of sounds. And then I wanted to check and see when it came out. Not in the 70s. So my song I would have used maybe would have been Money, Money, Money by ABBA. Except for the fact that ABBA is, I think, from what I actually, you know what? He might have tried to use that song. But ABBA is apparently really mean about copyright claims. So maybe he tried and it didn't work. But all you have to do is money, money, money. And then you can cancel it. But that's what I would have did, probably, at least to try.
crashes, regulation changes, and life insurance. But teams have just found a way around it by allowing brands to advertise their products during a race in exchange for a fee. And they would start to advertise anything that paid well. Condoms, cigarettes, musicians, and even today, sponsorships still anything that paid well. Condoms, cigarettes, musicians.
ABBA, see, there they are. Okay, so the song was right there then. The song was right there.
And even today, sponsorship still remains a huge part of the sport, to the point where it looks like 6ix9ine just shapeshifted onto the new RB19 chassis. This racing thing's pretty cool, said Hotshot's Niki Lauda and James Hunt, becoming the 2 faces of the sport in the mid-1970s. Lauda, the face of professionalism and hard work, and Hunt, the face of cigarettes, champagne, and models.
Okay.
He was a bit of a legend. The two would give fans the closest title fight yet in
So were those the 2 that Talladega Nights was based off of? Because it kind of looks like those were the 2 that Talladega Nights was based off of.
1976.
Even
with
though that's
Lauda and
NASCAR.
Ferrari putting up a dramatic title defense against Hunt and McLaren. Despite Lauda almost dying in a crash at the Nürburgring, the championship went down to the last race at the Japanese Grand Prix, with Hunt clinching his first and only title in the dying laps of the race.
Our new world champion, James Hunt, by just 1 single point.
Wow.
Late 1970s now,
That's close.
and being a constructor sucks for a lot of reasons. Formula 1 is racing in over 5 different continents, which is barely feasible for private teams. Each track controls the advertising and prize money of their individual Grand Prix, and the sport's governing body, the FISA, dictate all the rules, regulations, and commercial rights. I know what to do, said Bernie Ecclestone, forming the Formula 1 Constructors Association, which leveled the playing field going into the ground effect era, which was an era of huge change in Formula 1. New technology has been introduced with the use of side pods. A Brazilian called Nelson Piquet is winning championships in both motor racing and Muay Thai kickboxing. And there are a couple of rookies in town who can only be
Okay, I don't know if he was actually doing real Muay Thai or if that was just a joke because he was punching people on the reg, but that very funny. I appreciated that. Muay Thai is more elbowsy though, in general.
described with one word. Greatness.
Great. I was like, what is it? What is the word? Tell me what the word is.
Who are these guys? Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, who started their rise in Formula 1 during the mid-1980s. Prost was simply sensational, winning the 1985 and 1986 championships with McLaren, and Senna had a driving style so mesmerizing that it actually made you forget that he was in a relationship with a 15-year-old at the time. McLaren believed that these two would be a great pairing, which honestly makes you question what they were smoking out of the exhaust pipes, because instead it led to a fierce rivalry with 2 championships ending in dramatic fashion in Japan. I mean, seriously, what did they expect to happen? It's 1992.
Two big
and Williams had
personalities.
just developed a technology called active suspension. Hey, why don't we use it to dominate the grid for 2 years? Said Williams, using it to dominate the grid for 2 years, which saw Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost win back-to-back championships with the team. Heading into the 1994 season, Formula One was set for one of its most exciting years yet. Ayrton Senna moved to Williams, replacing the retiring Prost. Newcomer Michael Schumacher was given a competitive car at Benetton, and Ferrari had hopes of a rebound year with
Come on,
Gerhard Berger
Ferrari.
and Jean Alesi at the wheel. Oh boy.
Oh,
What an exciting...
still being repped by cigarette companies, huh? Do they still do that? Do cigarette companies still sponsor sports? I can't remember. I don't know if I've ever seen a cigarette, because beer does. I don't remember if I've seen cigarette companies sponsoring sports teams.
Yeah, this will be...
I don't know what this means. Something dramatic is happening. Did Ferrari die?
The 1994 San Marino Grand Prix to this day remains the most devastating weekend of Formula One's history, with 2 fatalities in 2 days. A crash at Villeneuve during qualifying saw the death of Roland Ratzenberger, and on lap 7 of the race, 3-time world champion Ayrton Senna experienced a steering column failure at a speed of 192 miles an hour, which saw the Brazilian have a fatal crash at the Tamburello corner. This would prove to be a serious wake-up call to the FIA, who believed that F1 cars were inherently safe despite the dramatic speed increase over the previous 8 years. And after the crash, many of the Williams personnel were investigated due to the belief that it was a mechanical failure that caused the crash.
Oof. Big oof.
Let's get back to the racing now, because
Okay, no more of this sad stuff. Let's get rid of the sad stuff again. Every time somebody dies, he's like, okay, pivot.
Overshadowed by the deaths of Ratzenberger and Senna, still had one of the closest title fights ever between Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill. The 2 drivers were split by nothing the whole season and arrived at the final race in Australia just 1 point apart. And this race would see the 3rd controversial ending to a championship in just 5 years, when the 2 made contact in a crash that was potentially caused by Schumacher, knowing full well it would lead to his first world title. Despite all the controversy around it, no action was taken against Schumacher, and he would never try any antics like this ever again. Until 3 years later.
Yep, I was like, until, except I was waiting for that.
Jacques Villeneuve got disqualified from the 1997 championship and was publicly ridiculed by the mainstream media.
It's like, it's not bumper cars, bitch. Go to a freaking, go to a carnival if you want to go bumper cars.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
2000.
2000, a new millennium and a new era in Formula One. The World Championship is in the hands of McLaren and Mika Häkkinen. Michael Schumacher is hunting his first title for Ferrari and 3rd as a driver. And Formula One cars have a new soundtrack through the introduction of V10 engines.
It's really loud.
At this point,
see, I had the same face but opposite feeling, I think, as that guy.
Driver had won more than 2 titles in a row for over 4 decades. But Ferrari and Schumacher were about to change that, winning 5 championships in a row, including 2 title battles with Mika Häkkinen and Kimi Räikkönen, and
he didn't even have to cheat for those?
Of complete supremacy. Like in 2002, where Ferrari finished the season with the same amount of points as every other team in the championship combined. Knock knock, who's there? It's an energy drink company who have just bought out Jaguar and joined the Formula One grid. Elsewhere, Renault have a superstar in their hands, Fernando Alonso, a 22-year-old Spaniard who pulls off moves which defy the laws of physics.
Whoa, that was
ready to end Ferrari's run of 5 consecutive titles by becoming
that was crazy. I mean, like, gave me pole position vibes for sure, but oh my god.
A double world champion.
Is pole position based off Formula One racing? Because like I said, I played NASCAR Thunder a lot as a kid because that's what I had on my PS1. But then I also ended up at one point with access to pole position, but I didn't have like the GameCube or whatever. At Nintendo, I don't remember what pole position was originally played on. There was a joystick involved at my friend's house, but I had like an arcade game converted for the PS1 like box set at one point. So the things like Dig Dug and Mrs. Pac-Man and pole position were on that. So is and I played a lot of pole position. I never got very good at it. I'm okay at an arcade, but was it? Tell me. If pole position is based on Formula One, because I'm remembering the cars now and some of the tracks, and it kind of looked like this.
I want to be great again, said McLaren, who went into the 2007 season with an all-new driver lineup and a brand new plan that would bring them championship success. The plan involved signing the defending champion Alonso and an inexperienced rookie to ensure no competition in the team. What's the worst that could happen?
All of the Mountain King.
So yeah, it turns out McLaren made a very slight error which faulted their master plan. Because instead of signing an inexperienced rookie, they signed Lewis Hamilton, who raced like a veteran from the start, sparking a number of debates and controversies at McLaren over the season, like Spygate, when the team was fined £100 million for being in possession of confidential Ferrari documents. Ironically, it was Ferrari who went on to win that season with Kimi Raikkonen, although Hamilton would eventually win out the next year with an overtake at the last corner of the final race.
Wow.
2009, a year which shaped the landscape of Formula One with a new regulation change by the FIA. Used the regulations to produce a dominant car. And that's exactly what Brawn did to perfection, which allowed them to bring title success to Jenson Button before the three teams with bigger budgets could catch up for the next season. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Sebastian Vettel, who Red Bull gave wings in the early 2010s, which allowed the German to win 4 consecutive world titles, including 2 extremely close championship battles and 2 years of record-breaking dominance.
Youngest ever world championship, the youngest ever pole sitter, and most consecutive wins. So yeah, pole position, Formula One. I got there in the end. It only took me the entire video. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't watch racing.
Going into the turbo hybrid era, Prime Vettel was simply unstoppable. But the introduction of V6 hybrid power units led to a new era of dominance in Formula One when a constructor returned after 55 years.
Ooh, that's a pretty car. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, I love it though.
Mercedes were back with a vengeance, producing a car with supreme aerodynamics
That's
and phenomenal
beautiful
engine power, which blew out all competition for several years. Although, this meant that a conflict started between their drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, in a rivalry coined the Silver War, which saw the two trade championships and dominate the grid for 3 years before Rosberg's retirement in 2016. What happens next? Lewis Hamilton goes on to win 4 more titles, and the team dominate the competition until the final year of the turbo hybrid era.
Coming up to modern day.
In 2021, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton underwent one of the closest and most grueling championship battles in history.
Whoa,
They were split
whoa.
almost nothing the entire season. Some days Verstappen was ahead, some days Hamilton was ahead, some days they were side by side, and on one occasion, they were on top of each other. It was kind of hot. The
Yeah. So it's like, oh, is this how the cars procreate?
championship went down to the wire.
I don't know if I can show that on YouTube. It was a little spicy.
Several crashes and controversies leading up to the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen converted pole into race victory to win his first world title in a race that was straightforward, not controversial in the slightest, and didn't cause the complete irreparable destruction of Formula One social media.
Not at all.
On a completely unrelated
I'm gonna
note,
ask my
there was
friend
a
about
change
that.
in F1's race directors going into the next season, which saw new regulations and another record be broken after Max Verstappen won 15 races in a single season to take his second title. And that pretty much brings us up to today. Have I covered every single driver and big event in Formula One's history?
Of course not.
No, but I tried. Shout out to Bill Wirtz, and
Okay.
it's a
So fun. Okay, interesting. That was quite interesting, and it was his this one came out 2 years ago, so all right, we're close. So it's really interesting to see how things have changed and how things are like continuing to change and evolve, and I like that. There's a lot of things I feel like a sports in general that haven't changed too much for a while, and maybe some changes could be made. Granted, every time they try and change like baseball, people flip. So maybe not. But anyway, that was interesting. It does seem like maybe the racing could be interesting. I just have never been super invested in watching a bunch of people go around in a circle for a while. Which is why you know, the near misses and stuff. That part's exciting, but it doesn't happen enough. So that's one of the reasons I just never really got into it. But this was fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for the suggestion. I'll see you. Let me know other things I should look at, and I'll see you in the next one.